What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of La Banca podcast in English. I'm your host, Mark, aka Marquinho, aka Che Segovia, alongside two of my co-hosts, Aurelio and Fidel. Aurelio, what's going on, bud?
Not much here, chilling, tired, but
We
just
all
ready to get the
are.
show on the way.
For sure, for sure. Fidel, what's going on, bud?
Nothing, man. I just spilled my drink on my computer, so hopefully I can last all show.
Man, you're being clumsy, man. What's going on?
If that's the case,
Funny guy.
Yeah, being clumsy is part of my life, bro.
Man, hey, man, that's the part of growing up that even though you think you're growing up and getting older and wiser, sometimes you still do dumb things.
That's right.
Man, guys, but obviously before we get ahead with the show, guys, if you didn't know, we have a new Twitter page at La Banca _podcast. If you could do us a favor, give us a follow over there. If you have Twitter, if you don't have Twitter, get Twitter, man. It's one of the. To be honest, I'm not gonna be biased here, but Twitter honestly is the best social media because you get your news, your whatever you need on the go. So Twitter, La Banca _podcast. Follow us, give us a follow, and we can get comments and all that stuff from over there. But with that being said, guys. Obviously, we had a special show on Tuesday. Messi was the whole hoopla. Messi going to Paris. What happened with Barcelona? Whatever. The soccer world moves on, and so do we. So, obviously, summer transfers are still going on. And another big name has just switched to one of the biggest leagues in the world. Romelu Lukaku leaves Inter Milan for Fidel's beloved Chelsea.
That's right.
Now, Lukaku's been in Chelsea before. Lukaku's been in the Premier League before with Everton and with Manchester United and with Chelsea. This is his second stint with Chelsea. The first time Chelsea bought him, they paid, I think, 18 million euros. This time they're paying 115 million euros to get him back in a Chelsea blue kit. Fidel, I know you're ecstatic. I know you're happy about the news. I don't know if you're happy about what he cost to get there, but I mean, now you have a proven goal scorer on your team. But before I get to you, Aurelio, 115 million euros for a 28-year-old striker, which at the moment I'll give him. He's probably one of the top 5 number 9s at the moment. Do you think it's a wise move, or is it just a rich guy spending money that he knows he has and go get whatever he wants?
a little bit of both. I'm like, at the end of the day, it's something they need, so it is a necessity. We all saw the trouble they had last season trying to score. So a little, like I said, it's a little bit of both. Like they have the money to spend, and at the end of the day, it is a necessity they need. So. Is it high? I'm like, is it high? Probably, because they had no choice but to pay that because that's the only way Inter was going to release him.
Yeah, they kind of really stronged on Inter Milan because, it's funny because Akif Hakimi, who was the right back who got sold to PSG for 70 mil, was supposed to be the only high-profile name that was supposed to leave Inter Milan, and that was the one that was going to balance the books. They were going to keep the whole team intact. They won the Scudetto from Juventus, and that was that. But I mean, dude, what do you do when somebody throws $150 million in front of your face, man? I mean, especially in this environment, COVID, the loss of money, where you don't know if you're going to get full stadiums this season still because different variants of the COVID or different countries have different regulations and whatever. So Chelsea really did strong arm Inter Milan into this deal, which as maybe as a fan of Inter Milan, I don't care. I'm an AC Milan fan, but as a fan, I might be a little upset about letting my top goal scorer go. But in the long run, this might be a blessing in disguise for Inter. Fidel, obviously, Roman over there, he has no shame in wasting whatever kind of money he needs to waste to to bring in the high quality players that he needs to. Obviously, we know last season he spent well over 200 million in the summer transfer window to bring in players like Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, Ziyech, Eduardo Mendy, and players like that. But 115 mil on one player. What's your thoughts, man? Your thoughts?
I think Chelsea just got ahead of the game. They just got kind of desperate. I get it. Lukaku brings a lot to the team. He's a true finisher. He hasn't been so consistent as he should have been. I see a Lukaku going from the climax, going down the hill already. But again, it's a Lukaku who needs fitness. He needs a lot of things. But Chelsea sees it as, okay, you got Warner, you got Ziyech, you got Havertz, you got Mount. Is it Mount? Oh, yeah, it's Mount.
Mason Mount.
You got Mount, and then you got Pulisic, right? So you can do so many combinations with those guys on either side, and Lukaku as a true 9 in the middle to just be able to feed him the ball, right, and finish. And I think that's what Chelsea was looking for. They were looking for a repeat for the Champions League. They were looking to compete in the league as well. And it's a plus, but it's a minus. I mean, why is it a minus? Well, because you got a Lukaku who knows if he's going to respond, or who knows if he's going to stay at that level. And then again, you lose so much money, of which you could have fought for a young man like Haaland for next year, right? Because you do have a young team. Pulisic is young, Havertz is young, Ziyech is young, Warner is young, Mount is young. I mean, and then you bring in Haaland. I mean, you're good for the next 5 to 10 years, my man. If you keep a team together and you keep it competitive like that, right? Or you can sell 1 or 2 of those and still stay competitive. But now you bring a Lukaku in, and you got to sacrifice some of these guys. I think at the end of the day, Chelsea's going to end up selling or loaning some of these guys away if injuries don't occur, like Siege recently, right? But I think that's what's going to be. Somebody's going to be sacrificed. Some of you guys might say Warner's going to be sacrificed. Whoever's scoring or whoever's feeding so many balls to Lukaku is going to stay in the game. And we'll see, man. We'll see what Tuchel has on his notebook. And we'll see if we can bring out some magic just to make some changes. Because at the end of the day, I was thinking future, But now that you think about this, Chelsea's thinking present. And what I mean by that is they're thinking about this year. They want to repeat the Champions League. They want to be able to be up there throughout the whole year,
Look, honestly, dude, Chelsea might be a year or 2 ahead than what we thought they were going to be at, because this Champions League win that they had, I mean, nobody saw it coming, right? Mm-hmm. Honestly, you have a bunch of young cats, which have high ceilings and high levels of play. And, they play for very talented national teams and things of that nature, but still a bunch of young players. The fact of the matter that the progression has been fast forward, and now it's not more of a future setting, but a present setting, like you said. I think Chelsea is on hey, I want to get as many trophies as possible with these players that I have currently. And obviously the biggest need that we had was a true goal scorer at the number 9 position, because Timo Werner's scoring boots, he left them in Germany. Going to the chat, man, a shout out to our friend Hadi. He's joining us right now. He says Lukaku is better than Oliver Giroud, and Oliver Giroud is better than Timo Werner as a number 9. He also says Lukaku's goal scoring could help put Chelsea in first in the Premier League, which is something that we're going to talk about later on. But you might have a point, man. Chelsea obviously winning the Champions League and winning the Super Copa here yesterday. Maybe the next objective is winning the Premier League. Obviously the Premier League is a very prestigious trophy, and anytime you win the league, I mean, it shows great quality from a team, not just in a short span, but in a long-term span, because obviously winning a league as opposed to winning a tournament is a lot different.
To me, winning the league is much harder than winning
for sure.
To me. And then you have to look at it like you said, Chelsea wants to do it now. I'm like, they kind of have to do it now, because to me, Chelsea's best player is getting up in age.
N'Golo Kante?
He's 30 years old already.
Yeah.
You probably have another 2 or 3 years. Good at him.
That guy has like 3 lungs and he plays like a 20-year-old. Stop lying. Don't lie to yourself. Come
on. My man's gonna be playing for Chelsea at age 50.
That's right.
He's 30 years old. I'm like, maybe his lungs will last, but bones and ligaments start getting fragile.
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
Hadi also says, only problem for Inter is now that Lautaro Martinez is obviously involved in a lot of transfer rumors along the way. That'll be crazy to lose your top 3 players in one summer. But it could be possible for Inter. But he says he wants to leave. Squad morale took a big hit. Coach left as well. What's left for Inter to be ready for next season? Sama, what's up, Sama? He joined us right now, kind of late, but I mean, better late than never. Sama, what's up? They need center backs as well, which is, we'll see. I mean, there's rumors of Chelsea going after Sevilla's Joel Codes, which is a young French international, 22-year-old, but he's going to cost a pretty penny too. But if there's anybody out there that can afford it, it's Roman. But yeah, guys, I mean, obviously with the Lukaku transfer, that's the biggest one aside from the whole Messi saga that we had this last week. Obviously, well, what does Inter do now? Inter is obviously going to go sign a 35-year-old striker named Edin Dzeko, who we were familiar with. Obviously he played with Man City, played with Roma, played with Juventus for a little bit. Kind of a journeyman guy, but a proven goal scorer, maybe not of high quality like Lukaku, but somebody who knows the league very well and can score goals. But at 35 years old, I don't know if he can still go out there and carry. But like I said, they do have Lautaro Martinez still on that squad, who's an up-and-coming player who they hope can kind of help void the missing goals that Lukaku took over to London with his signature going to Chelsea and stuff like that. But we'll see.
Don't rule out Grealish.
Oh yeah,
100 million pounds, aka
that was my next one.
$140 million.
So the second, obviously, biggest news comes from within the Premier League. Jack Grealish finally joining Man City for 100 million euros, which is 140 in US.
100 million pounds.
Oh, pounds. Sorry, pounds.
Which ends up being about 138, 139 million dollars.
So US dollars. Thank you, Aurelio. We obviously saw him in action in the Community Shield against Leicester City, which Leicester City ended up winning. Congratulations to those guys winning the Community Shield.
The future champions of Premier League, of course.
We'll talk about that later. Second trophy under Brendan Rodgers, but Jack Grealish, man, 100 million pounds. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a Jack Grealish fan. He's a really good player. I don't know if he's worth 100 million pounds, but I guess we're about to find out if he is. Your thoughts, Aurelio? I mean, obviously, Jack Grealish was somebody who was linked with Arsenal a couple last summer, and even
a couple years. I think the last time they played him, which was I think it was the FA Cup final about 3 or 4 years ago, if not more. But yeah, he was back in the days. But 100 million pounds, I'm like, that's what it took for them to release him. I'm like, they didn't have to sell him. I'm like, they were doing good. Their financials are really good. So it's just something that you get offered 100 million pounds. I'm like, it's kind of hard to say no.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I said, it's one of those things where I don't know if Aston Villa got strong-armed like the way Chelsea did Inter, but it puts Aston Villa in a really good position, money financial-wise, because Aston Villa is an up-and-coming team. They showed a lot last season. They almost ended up in a European spot, which is, I think, their next objective is to land in one of the European competitions for next season. But I mean, they signed players like Leon Bailey from the Bundesliga, which is a Jamaican international, who's really highly touted. Emmanuel Buendia, which is an Argentine international, who did really, really well. I think he won Best Player of the Year in the Championship, which is the second division in English football with Norwich City. They signed a Brazilian forward, Garrison from Flamengo, who just came off a great campaign in the Brazilian league and the Copa Libertadores as well. So I mean, they're making moves. Aston Villa's not staying put, and
they have the money to do it now.
They have the money to do it now.
So let me ask you this: like going back to Man City, who does Man City have left as forward other than Jesus? Who else does Man City have as a forward?
But you're absolutely correct.
And I'm saying this because that's what Pep Guardiola really wants. Pep Guardiola really wants to control the ball and create. He wants creators. Pep Guardiola has been talking about Jack Grealish since the season started last year, and he must have seen something in him as far as creation. If you look at Pep, he loves guys on the wing that can create. And that's a true Jack Grealish. If he can't create for you, he can score for you. So he's 1 and 2. He's a forward and a creator. So Jack is a complete package for Pep. Here's the only problem that I have. How are you going to distribute time with some of these players to keep them happy? because you have so much talent in your team. I wouldn't want to be in Pep's place. I wouldn't want to be in a lot of these coaches' places. Why? Because you got to keep your squad happy, right? And by you keeping your squad happy, you got to give them some playing time. Pep Guardiola has a World Cup team, man. And how do you keep these guys happy? Because your bench, I wouldn't even want to look behind and look at those guys behind me and say, oh, geez, I haven't played you at all. This
Well,
whole,
like,
I mean, come on.
It'll be hard, but I'm like, there's a couple players that are going to be for sale already.
Yeah.
You have, I think Bernardo Silva's already like pretty much.
Oh yeah, he wants out already.
Well, it's not that he wants out. I'm like, that was one of the things. I'm like, if Grealish comes in, he's probably going to be one of the ones that's going to be put on sale. You have him. You probably have Sterling that's going to go on sale as well. Yeah. So I'm like, you have 2 or 3 players that can easily be on sale. They're going to let go.
So who are they left with forwards other than the Jesus? And the Jesus was injured.
When you leave these players, when you sell these players, get rid of these players, that's when you have that extra money to go buy something else.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and Pep isn't one to shy away from playing a false 9 either. I mean, if for some reason he doesn't sell Sterling can play a 9. Obviously, Gabriel Jesus is the only natural 9 that they have.
But we've seen Pep play with a 4-5-1 with one forward. I mean, come on.
Oh, no, I understand that too, but but we also seen him play with a 4-3-3 with a false 9. So
right.
I mean, the thing about Pep is he's not stuck to just one formation. He's stuck to whatever best quality players I have, I'm going to put them in the best position to succeed that I have for them available, depending on the talent that I have on my team. And the thing about that is, obviously right now he has a plethora of wingers, Sterling, Grealish, Bernardo Silva, Mahrez, Foden, but Foden can play midfield as well. Just a plethora, right? And the thing about that is, like Aurelio mentioned, obviously we do kind of see hopefully that 1 or 2 of them are going to get sold and going to go to different teams with a lot of rumors going on. We'll see what happens. Going back to the chat, Sama says Grealish, I don't think he fits the usual Pep mold. He also says, and definitely not worth that paid. But the thing about buying English players is that you got to pay that English tax. It's just a known thing, because obviously they're a little bit more. I want to say a little bit more.
Look at Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, for Ben White, you pay $50 million, but the thing is, the fact that they're an English player and it doesn't take away from your other, EU players or non-English players spots or whatever. It helps out a lot. So that's why you got to pay the premium for those type of players, especially if it's one of the top English players in the league or in the world. How he says 6 years though, he's got time to learn and fit in. Pep isn't like in Barcelona and requiring specific type of players. He can help Grealish be the best self like Messi when Pep was at Barca. Henry Kane rumors says that City are about to offer 150 mil, which is something we're about to talk to right now. We're going to get a bit of rumors out there in the window because the window is about to close here in about 2 weeks, and there's going to be a lot of last minute movement that we're hoping that's going to happen. Sama says Man City already sold the 6-8 players they had loaned it out or young talent to raise money for Kane. So, obviously, the latest rumor is that they're going to make one last ditch effort to Tottenham to buy Harry Kane for $150 million.
Who doesn't want to be there no more? So, it might work.
We just spoke about, Chelsea buying Lukaku for 115 million pounds and now for
115 million euros.
Yeah, euros, I'm sorry. And now Man City offering 150 million euros to Tottenham. But like I said, Harry Kane is an English player, so you're going to pay that English tax a little bit. I mean, if I'm Tottenham, if I'm Daniel Levy and Tottenham, I'm taking that. I'm sorry. I love Harry Kane. He might, well, I don't love Harry Kane, but I'm thinking that's Daniel Levy. I love Harry Kane, everything he's done for us. He's been exceptional, been one of the greatest English number 9s of all time up to this point. I think he's in the top 10 all time in scoring in Premier League and all that stuff. But 150 million, dude, I'm taking that money and I'm investing it everywhere else that I need to go invest it.
Well, they've had a lot of money once and they kind of just blew it off.
They did. And then, like I said, they just built that new stadium and they haven't been able to fill it because of COVID. So, this could be a way out for Tottenham. I mean, like I said, I think honestly, Daniel Levy is would be stupid not to take this offer if Man City really going to make this last ditch effort to sign Harry Kane.
I like Pep's idea of acquiring all these English players because they're already adapted to the English Premier League, you know,
Obviously.
and it's kind of hard when you got to bring players outside and they have to fit in, they have to stay consistent.
It takes a while for them to get accustomed to the weather, like everything, just the physicality of the game.
Or just how ugly England is, period, you know. But yeah,
for sure, man. And and also think about it. If Man City does buy Harry Kane for that amount, and Tottenham, I mean, whatever Tottenham ends up doing with that money, I mean, at the end of the day, the fact that this money is available to you, especially when you made no money from match day revenue, from from the stadium being filled or whatever, it's really going to help them along the way. Because honestly, the Tottenham team that's there right now, I mean, they have great players. They have good players, but I don't think they're making any noise. And plus, Harry Kane has already made it known and publicly that he wants to move on. He wants to lift some trophies. 28, about to be 29, same as Lukaku, hasn't lifted not one trophy for Tottenham.
Well, here goes Samaria Campos on the chat saying Levy is probably the most pity owner ever. He will keep him and just block it out. I mean, talk about having some kind of like pride, just because of your contender teams around in your league, it's a business. At the end of the day, it's a business. You literally have to let all those emotions go and just make the deal, man. And if Kane doesn't want to be there, there's nothing really you can do. I mean, it's kind of hard, to keep a player when they can't do that, especially because the way soccer has gone nowadays. If somebody wants somebody, like the way Chelsea went after Lukaku, they just got to say it. Hey, I want to spend 120 million, put it out in the media. I'm offering them 120 million. Boom, everybody puts the pressure. And then Lukaku says, well, I don't want to practice no more. I want to leave. Like, Lukaku didn't want to leave in the first place until Chelsea offered, right? Same thing with Kane, until Kane said, hey, I want to leave. All these teams are being out there like putting out the money. Now Man City says, yo, I got an offer. And Kane's like, well, I must sit out until you take that offer because it's putting pressure on each other. It shouldn't be like this. It should be a way.
It could be, but I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm like, he still has a contract for 3 more years.
And that's what I'm saying. He should have buy that contract. He should have buy that contract, and that's the biggest things we're coming. Well, you're hurting the sport.
That's where the owners has the I guess you can call it the leeway towards them. Like, dude, you're stuck here for 3 years. But you're stuck here until you're pretty much 32 years old.
But the thing is that I think, obviously I do agree with Sama's description of Dan Levy being petty, because I think the last thing that Daniel Levy wants to see, and that's why Kane isn't in a Chelsea shirt right now, is Kane lifting up a trophy, a Premier League trophy, an FA Cup, a Community Shield, a Carabao Cup with another London club. That would hurt the supporters so much, and there would be so much anguish towards Daniel Levy for selling him to a in-city rival.
Right.
The thing about London is that it holds 5-6 Premier League clubs. So if you're already talking about not dealing with in-city rivals, that already off the top eliminates five teams from where you can sell him, because Harry Kane wants to stay in the Premier League. Right. He doesn't want to go to La Liga. He doesn't want to go to Serie A. He doesn't want to go anywhere else. He wants to stay in the Premier League. And the only team who can offer him a spot was Chelsea and Man City. Chelsea went after Lukaku, got Lukaku. That only leaves Man City. So if they say no to this, unfortunately for Harry Kane, he's gonna have to go out there and wear that Tottenham shirt. And I'm pretty sure he'll be professional about it, and he'll do his job. But you're gonna have a very disgruntled player.
He's got an attitude, that's for sure.
And obviously, before we end with this topic, the biggest rumor, obviously, and the biggest rumor since 2 summers ago, is Mbappe going to Real Madrid. Guys, I'm gonna make this quick, simple, and fast. Do you think Mbappe leaves this summer to Real Madrid? Yes or no, Aurelio?
If they can't get a contract situated, yes.
I don't think so. Hopefully, Messi is able to convince him at least for this one season, and just to let him know that he's with the best player in the world. And
that's the thing. I'm like, he's a free. He can technically sign with whoever he wants
next year
in January.
Right,
I get January.
I get it. And
So
so, but that's where I'm coming from. I mean, if he can see that the Messi can probably even give him that option to become the best player in the world or be named the best player in the world because Messi's fitting him so much or creating for him so much. I mean, it's a possibility, you know. It's uh, sometimes you gotta live the moment, you know, and nobody gonna say, well, I wish I would have played with Messi, or well, I never had the opportunity to play with Messi, or you did have the opportunity, you just decided to leave. You know what I'm saying?
if
So and
to me, if Mbappe, I'm sorry to cut you, but if he was smart, I'll do okay. I'll sign a contract. It'd be a 2 year contract though.
well, and that's where it is because some way somehow PSG's got to take that because if they want to sell him after the end of the year, PSG's still gonna make some money, right? That's the idea, right? To make
Before
money.
before I give you my go to the chat, Hadley says financial issues are the reason why Antonio Conte didn't sign as a coach for Tottenham. Selling Kane would have helped any financial problems, and it's true. I mean, Tottenham went through like five coaches that they were supposedly going to sign before they got to Nuno Espinal de Santo, and all top level coaches they wanted this gig, but when they had to talk with Daniel Levy and saw the financial situation for Tottenham, they said, "Nah, I'm good. I'll sit out another year."
Yeah.
He also said they don't want to have another Sol Campbell thing, which for those who don't know, obviously Sol Campbell was a Tottenham player who went to Arsenal and came to Arsenal and won everything and ended up being an Arsenal legend and one of the Invincibles as well. Sama says, "How dare you, Mark? How dare I? What? I'm not understanding what he wants to." I Chat Productions. What's up, man? He probably waits one season just to play with Messi, then leaves. Samir says PSG is in a different position and will take the hit if he leaves on a free. I'm glad someone said that, and I'm glad I Chat Productions also came through with that comment as well.
I pretty much said that in the Spanish one.
Yeah. So I mean, the fact of the matter is, look, whether or not Mbappe gets sold this summer, which I don't think he does, I think Mbappe is going to come. I think Mbappe is going to take the situation and just run with it because, look, like I said, to play with Messi, even if it's just play 1 year. Let's say this PSG is the team that everybody thinks, and they go on and dominate the French league, and they go on and win the Champions League and everything. I mean, it's a dream team. You're gonna do that this 1 year, and then next year you can go on and do whatever the hell you want to go do. Which is, if you really wanted to go to Madrid, now you can go to Madrid for free.
But remember, Mbappe is a true down hood kid from Paris, right?
Yeah.
And just making his team a champion in the Champions League, it'll be huge for him because that's his hood, man. That's his neighborhood. That's where his heart is. You know what I mean?
It adds to his legend.
Exactly.
Because right now, it's right. See, the thing about players like Mbappe, who is the next generation's face of this game.
I don't know about that. But yeah,
I mean, but he's the face of FIFA. You see his name everywhere. You see his face everywhere. All this stuff.
Pretty much one of the big faces that's going to be on.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be on for the next 10 years at least.
Yeah. So it's all about the money's going to come for him as long as he stays healthy. The money's going to be there always. But it's all about what do you do during your career that's different from the other legends from the past. Because obviously this generation was Ronaldo, Messi, and we've seen all the great things that they've been able to accomplish. That separates them from legends from the past, like Brazilian Ronaldo, Zidane, Maradona, Pele. All those legends from the past. We
right.
see what we now. What is Mbappe going to do during his career that sets him apart from Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, and other legends?
And not just that, Mbappe really needs to find his nemesis. He needs to find who the other player is that's going to give him that competition, like Messi and Cristiano, right?
Yeah.
Who's going to push him to be better? Who's going to push him to compete? Who's going to push him to look for better goals, right? Because once you're at the top, you're just there. It's boring, But if you got somebody to compete, that's why Messi and Ronaldo saga has been amazing. I think we're so lucky to have lived this, right? But Mbappe's nemesis should be Haaland. And imagine if Haaland and Mbappe go to Real Madrid. Like there's no fun in that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm like, we were lucky enough that they were in the same league with two of the biggest clubs in that league.
Right.
So that's what makes it very interesting. That's what makes it what it is. But I'm like, for that to happen, you would have to have Mbappe in one team and then in one league, and have Haaland in the same league with the other team, whichever league it's going to be.
our buddy had it chimes in. He says, if that's the case, why should he go to La Liga? Which I understand too. Like, because I say, look, I've said this a lot, and I'm gonna say it one more time just before the summer transfer window ends. In case it happens, so that way I can go to the archives and find this if it actually does happen. While Madrid might be the favorite to land Mbappe, I think there's a small percentage that Mbappe ends up in Liverpool. It's just a hunch that I have. I think he ends up in Liverpool. Small percentage size. I know our friend Little Man doesn't want to hear that, because that would devastate him and put him in a deep depression. But it might happen. And if
So
that happens,
how would that happen?
and if that hold on, well, he's on a free, and if that happens, Holland can go to Man City, the club of his father's youth,
Right.
and then you have the whole Mbappe versus Holland saga in the Premier League, in the
Wow.
biggest league of the world. That would be that. Imagine something like that, man. Dollars, dollar bill, y'all.
Chasing dreams, bro.
Pounds,
Chasing dreams.
pounds.
But let's get away from the hypotheticals and from the rumors and all that stuff, and let's talk new league season.
All right.
Tomorrow, Premier League starts. Arsenal. Hey, Aurelio, you know what I'm talking about? Hattie, you know what I'm talking about? Because he's a big Arsenal fan too. So shout out to you. We're gonna do predictions, man. I know it's silly, but it's fun to do because obviously brand new season, brand new hope for everybody. We're gonna talk Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, and I guess League One if somebody wants to pick someone else other than PSG.
We already know that. Yeah, we already know Serie A.
Maybe we don't do League One, but let's start with Serie A. Let's go from the low to the high end because I want to save the Premier League for the end because
all right.
I think we're gonna have a good conversation there. Serie A, obviously, Inter lost Lukaku, one of the greatest players, Hakimi. Juventus, they're getting old, really old. Milan, my team, maybe possibility. Who knows? I don't know. Lantata, up and coming team. What I don't know. I'm not too familiar with their front office, but whoever they hired from 5-6 years ago is doing an amazing job with that team. Amazing job. Obviously, we have Napoli as well, who are always around the top 4, top 5 in that league. Fidel, who do you think has a chance to win the Serie A? Do you think Inter back to back? Does Juventus regain the crown, or does Milan finally come back to glory?
No, Milan's got it this year, bro. Milan's got to have to take it this year. Inter probably be second, and then Juventus will probably be third, just because Juventus is just dragging, bro. They're dragging. They're just hurting so much in all the lines. You do have Cristiano. You got Morata up top, but then from there all the way from the middle back, you're hurting so much. And you saw last year. Last year they had nothing, bro. They have nothing. Even if they get Panic back, it's not gonna make a difference. I see a Milan with more motivation. I see them more even with all the other teams, and then with all the numbers and all the talent that Inter lost and everybody they got rid of. I mean, that's just it. I mean, the ambition and that looking forward for Inter to overcome this year, it's not going to be there no more. These players, with Lukaku out and whomever else left, I forgot the name. They're already their heads is already down. So they're just going to go out there to compete just because they have to compete. But I see Milan taking it this year. Hopefully they do. They have a good squad, man. They're stepping up. And Atalanta's got potential, bro. Atalanta has had potential for a while. And like I said, I don't see Juventus being even top 2 at all.
Aurelio?
Massimiliano Allegri.
Uy, sound like a Godfather.
Juventus.
Massimiliano Allegri.
He's back.
Grazie.
He's back.
Hey, well, you know where my heart lies, and I think, and honestly, Milan came out the guns blazing last season, and it really hurt me to see them falter at the end of the season to where they ended up fighting to try to stay in Champions League qualification, but I think Milan, man, has a great squad, young squad. But let me throw something out to you real quick. Jose Mourinho in Roma. What do you think?
Nah.
Chaos. Complete chaos.
It'll be great the first 8 games, maybe 10. Then after that, it's going to be a shit show.
Show. Going to the chat before we go to the next league. I'm sorry. Sama says. I'm sorry. Hattie says Roma's got Mourinho, and they've been getting to work in the transfer window. We'll see. I mean, they might bring in the players, but like I said, Mourinho, he can be a cancer, man. He could just be a dark cloud in that locker room. Sama says Juve or AC Milan. He says this could be the year for underdogs like Lazio. Oh, Lazio's a good team.
Yeah, Lazio has a great
With,
squad.
with a new team, obviously Lazio, good squad and stuff like that. With Coach Sarri, Roma, I love Inter, but I think they're a third or fourth place. Um, Going on to the next league, La Liga in España.
La
Messi's
Liga.
gone. Messi's gone. Ronaldo's been gone. Madrid, Real Madrid, Barcelona are not as strong as they normally are. Atletico is the defending champion. You have other teams that are always in contention for Champions League spots, but never make quite a run for the league title, like teams like Sevilla, Real Sociedad, Villarreal, who are showing up now, especially with their Europa League Cup win and qualifying for Champions League and having a good showing in the Super Cup against Chelsea. Already, I'm gonna go with you first, man. Who do you think ends up winning La Liga this season, and why?
I think Atletico repeat. To me, I think that's just the more, I guess you could call it stable team. Practically the same team with maybe a player or two that they might lose and they might add a player here. But at the end of the day, I'm like, it's a team that stayed solid. I'm like, they had their ups and downs. But I think the first half of the season really helped them and did what they had to do. That way, when the second part of the season came around and they were they were going down, they had enough backspace to keep them afloat. And at the end of the day, they won it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, Atletico started out the game blazing. They had like a 16, 17 point league in the league at one point, I believe. They stumbled, man. It didn't have to. They didn't have to win it the way they wanted, but at the end of the day, they won it. They lifted the trophy. Diego Simeone is a champion again of La Liga. You're right. They're they're going to bring back most of their starters. They're not a very old team. They're not a very young team, but they're kind of a team in their prime. They have the advantage of their two main rivals not being at their top level like they usually are. And they have a wild card in a young player in Joao Felix, who, if he can take it up to another level, can really show a dominant player. I mean, I think I possessed the question last time of after Messi left, who was the best player in La Liga, and it's really hard to just really think of a player, but Joao Felix has the potential and has the attributes and skill level to
Step up.
that. But I
Yeah.
don't know if he can do that under Diego Simeone. That's just the question. But Fidel, I'm gonna go with you. Who do you think wins the La Liga this year?
So I said it in the Spanish version, man. Everybody was hating me for it. I didn't give it to Madrid. I didn't give it to Barcelona. I didn't give it to
Paris.
Atletico. I said Sevilla or Villarreal, bro. I was coming out with a dog horse, bro. Everybody was laughing at me. But yo, check it out. This is the year, and look, Barcelona is going to depend a lot on Memphis Depay, and there's too many young guys. Real Madrid lost their captain, and that was their only hope. And then you have an Atletico who's really not playing anything at all. Okay, who's really downgraded so much. They got lucky. They just got lucky to win the Liga last year. That was it. But then you have a Villarreal and a Sevilla that can really step up this year and make things work. I'm telling you, man, they don't have a lot of pressure on themselves. They don't have a lot of pressure on themselves. And a lot of people talk about fighting all these cups and that. They can overcome that, man. At the end of the day, they have potential. People don't see that, but this is the year for them. Teams are leveled this year, and that's the good thing, because Sevilla and Villarreal are those middle from the table up teams who want to see themselves at the same level as other teams. And now that they're seeing that the top 2-3 teams in the leagues are not at that level, as far as big names and how they played in the last few years, this is their year to step up, and I think that I'm gonna see them overachieve. So let me say, Villarreal, Sevilla, one of the two is gonna get it this year. Hopefully, Villarreal does it. Let's go.
Like, they didn't do it this past year. What makes you think they're going to do it this year?
What do you mean? They didn't do it last year?
Yeah,
What did I
last
think?
season. I'm like, same problem with all the top teams.
No, you saw they were very competitive. You saw they give
They
a
were.
good fight to everybody. They fought really well against Madrid. They fought really well against Barca. And Atletico, they handed it down to them. That's what brought a lot of those teams down. This is the year, guys. I mean, listen, all these teams are stepping up nowadays. Competition is getting pretty equal. It's getting pretty equal. It doesn't matter how many players you buy. Sometimes a lot of these teams, especially in La Liga Española, these teams have a lot of will, man. They have a lot of garra, like we say in Spanish, right? A lot of will to compete.
It's getting, is like you said, it's getting more even, but just because people don't know how to spend their money.
Well, that's what it is. But
Let
they got to see themselves at the same level as others.
go to the chat.
Go ahead, Mark.
I guess we're going to the chat, but I think he might have
Let me read the chat over here.
left us. Let's take a look here.
Well, Samir Campos says Villarreal and Sevilla best chance to take one, but typical race between Atletico, Real, and Barcelona. Haiti says plus new signings like Agüero and Memphis Depay would help the striking depth. That's very true for Barcelona. And Luis Padilla says, of course, Real Madrid. I mean, he knows no other team other than Real Madrid. He also says they will put a fight, but the experience. Real Madrid does have the experience. I think the only problem with Madrid is they need to make Benzema the captain, not Marcelo. Benzema. That's it.
I'm like, it wouldn't make a difference.
It won't. Really?
At the end of the day, it's not going to make a difference who's the captain.
Yeah.
Like they have some holes to fill. I'm like their defense, especially their center back is going to be very, very sketchy. So I don't know how that's going to work out. I'm like, they do have a good midfield, but I'm like at the same time, it's an aging midfield.
Oh, that's the biggest issue. I think they really struggle with that. Everybody kind of reads the same game plan that you always had, and I think that's the reason why it didn't go so well for Zidane. You know, he was implementing the same strategies, the same things. He wasn't changing things around. Football evolves, and you got to evolve yourself. So, who do you think is going to win it, Aurelio?
To me, in Spain, it's gonna be Atletico.
Well, you're gonna see the repeat, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
That's the only team I can see that's solid enough on all three phases towards where I'm like, I think they'll learn from their mistakes what they did last year. I'm like, they see in front of them the same opportunity they had this past season. I'm like, there's nobody that you can say that's a big favorite ahead of them. If they can start off hot and just be consistent, I'm like, I don't see why they wouldn't win it.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry guys, I was having a little bit of issue over here. But yeah, for La Liga, my prediction, obviously, I'm going to stay with Barca. I think I think everybody's so focused on the fact that Messi left, which is, it's a huge blow. Don't get me wrong. When you lose the best player in the world for the last 10 to 15 years, I mean, it's going to hurt pretty bad. But the thing about Barcelona that's different from teams like Madrid or Atletico Madrid or Sevilla, things like that, is that they have an academy full of young players who are ready to go. And whether or not they're going to take this next step, that's going to determine whether or not they're going to compete for the La Liga title. You have young players like Pedri, you have young players from La Masia for Ricky Puig, Oscar Menzgu, Ronaldo Ajarro, Ansu Fati if he comes back good from his injuries from last season. So you have a young squad plus a lot of veteran presence. Antoine Griezmann, Memphis Depay, obviously Sergi Busquets.
We're hoping for them to step up. Our boy Bautista saying, as a Barca fan, I'm hoping for the younger players to step it up. And then Luis Padilla, little man, says, sorry, Fidel, for not having 32 teams in my heart. Yeah, of course, we know, and that's okay. You gotta stay true to your team, no matter if it's going through difficult times or no matter if the story is not the same every year, right?
Sama goes in the chat. Arsenal put in a request to transfer to La Liga to be able to make it the top 5. Ha ha. All right,
that's a good bet, though.
All right, but since we're talking about Arsenal, let's talk about the best
Premier
league in
League.
the world, the Premier League. Who do you think is going to be champions of the Premier League this season? Obviously, we saw Man City run away with it last season. Liverpool had a lot of difficulties because it lost a lot of defenders. Manchester United, being Manchester United, is the second team in Manchester now during this decade. And Chelsea, Chelsea kind of had a little bit of a coaching situation there, but the Tuchel got them back to Champions League, and they're in Champions League position. Fidel, since you got the Chelsea kid on, I'm gonna ask you, man, who do you think is winning the Premier League this season?
Okay, so let's repeat this all over again. If you're in the chat and you hate this, put it on there for me, man. I really love to hear it from you guys. And I know to some way, some extent, I'm probably gonna make some sense to you, but it's gonna sound kind of crazy. Fourth place, Man City. Man City. Everybody knows Man City already. They know how to beat them. It's logical. Pep is done in the English Premier League. Even if he brings in new talent, he's done. Fourth place for Man City. Third place, Liverpool. So many injuries, getting back into shape, getting back into the play. It's pretty cool. Second place, my Chelsea. Yes, we're gonna lose the Premier League by 1 point. Notice, I don't even have Manchester United or Tottenham or Arsenal on my top four. So it's got to be a dark horse. I'm going for Leicester City, bro. Leicester City coming in clutch at the end, taking it from my Chelsea by a few points. And it's okay. It's okay because I'd rather see another team that is not one of the top 6, 7 teams from the English Premier League win it. So you never know. They have to make some really good acquisitions, and they get what they need. They don't go above and beyond for what they exaggerated and other teams do, spend so much money for people that they don't really need. Leicester City is that quiet horse that's just waiting to sneak in, and boom, they hit you. That's it.
You might not get the 5,000 to 1 odds that you could have gotten in 2015 when they won the Premier League out of nowhere, but you might get pretty good odds, man. You might get pretty good odds, so you might want to put some money down if you really feel that whole.
That's where the money is, bro. That's where the money is.
It's crazy because obviously look, Brendan Rodgers has done an amazing job at Leicester, winning the FA Cup title and then obviously winning the Community Shield here against Man City this past weekend. So it's a great job by those guys, and that's an up and coming team. It's been an up and coming team. They've been fighting for European spots. They just missed out by a point from qualifying for Champions League this season, so they'll be in Europa League again this season. But winning the Premier League is a big step, man. It's a huge step because obviously the last couple Premier League winners have been averaging somewhere near the realm of 90 plus points to win the title. So I even though I like Leicester City and I like Brendan Rodgers and I like the whole project that is going over there, I think their next objective should be qualifying for the Champions League before they try to go get a Premier League title. But we'll see. We'll see if there's a dark horse out there to do it. It could be Leicester City, man. Aurelio, Arsenal, are they going to win Premier League this season?
No way.
They're going to get a whooping. That's what they're going to win.
That could be a dark horse, like Fidel likes to call them.
True.
Hey, but no, I think we have another color for that instead of a dark horse.
Yeah, no, I would probably give it to. It's going to be between Man City and Liverpool.
Okay.
Which one do you think you have the upper hand if you had to choose?
Going on the safe side, you know how it is.
If I would give the upper hand, I would probably give it to Man City.
Man City,
just because they can afford to have a player to hurt.
There's no forwards in Man City, bro. Unless they get Kane, they have hopes, but there's no forwards there, bro. There's nobody left in Man City. It's from the back up. That's it. There's no forwards.
But
it worked this past year.
Yeah, and look, there's a thing about not having no forwards. If you don't have a constant number 9 who scores 20 plus goals a year, that's fine because that's fine when you have a group of players in committee who could score 10 goals each. You can get 10 goals from Grealish. You can get 10 goals from Sterling. You can get 10 plus goals from De Bruyne. You can get 10 plus goals from Gundogan. You can get 10 plus goals from Mahrez, from Bernardo Silva. Obviously, we know all these players are not going to stay there, but but when you have a goal scoring team by committee, it can hide the fact that you might not have a strong number 9 who's the one usually taking the mantle as far as being the top scorer in the league or whatever. Like Arsenal with Aubameyang or Tottenham with Harry Kane, things like that. So Man City is a loaded team. And Man City is the team that I'm going to go with as far as, winning the Premier League. I know it's the safe choice, but dude, I just don't see how, obviously Liverpool, I think is their closest threat, but those players are a year older now. Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino, they're a year older. They're main defensive juggernauts and Van Dijk and Joe Gomez and Joe and Matip all coming away from heavy injuries, big injuries last season. So it's going to take them some time to get acclimated to playing regularly again. So I mean, I think it just benefits Man City to the umpteenth level, and I think they're going to take advantage of that and run away with it again.
So
Uh,
Samair says Man City first, Man United second, Liverpool, and then Chelsea. He sees Man City as second place. Hey, Sama, listen. Sancho didn't come to save
Menu.
Man U. I'm sorry. Sancho didn't come to save Man U, bro. Man U is a disaster, bro. They're a catastrophe, bro. They're like a building falling down slowly but surely, bro. Like, look, open your eyes, bro. Pogba's trouble. Everybody's trouble at Man U. Nobody really stands out at Man U. They're just there's no hope there, man. They want to give hope to Man U fans, but there isn't anything left there, man. I
now,
don't even see him in the top four for real, Sama.
to be honest, what I don't understand why Manchester hasn't done this, and well, did it earlier.
Sorry, you're
And
freezing again.
he walked out again.
Yeah, he kind of had like a good argument coming up, and then boom, you know, it
Boom.
just hits him. That's kind of like his dialogue once again. But again, we're reading your chats, guys. I know, Haiti, you mentioned Arsenal has nothing else to focus on. Honestly, they'll probably make the top four. That's a good bet. And somebody says Leicester City will probably pull fourth place, maybe, but most likely fifth place and stay in the Europa League, of course. And then Chelsea has huge potential to crumble. I get it. Chelsea has the most pressure, if you ask me. I mean, a lot of people might say Pep has a lot of pressure, Aurelio, because they didn't win the Champions, but they won the league. You know what I'm saying? So one way or another, they have something there, right? Same thing with Chelsea. They didn't win the league, but they won the Champions, right? So, I mean, a lot of people are asking Guardiola, just give me a Champions, forget about the league, right? Like, kind of like, hey, man, you know, give more focus to my Champions League, right? And then you got a Chelsea who really wants both. But like Sama said, they can crumble. Yeah, if Lukaku doesn't work out, if a lot of the other forwards start getting frustrated because they're not getting playing time and they're not giving 100% when they're coming in now, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities that thing can crumble, and he's right. He's making a lot of sense.
It's gonna be a lot. Like just keep in mind that December is crazy for the Premier League.
Mhm.
I think there's like 10 games in 4 weeks or something like that.
And not to mention, we got qualifiers too
So
for the World Cup, man. It's gonna
yeah,
be
so
crazy
it's
season.
like always, December is usually the big crunch time in the Premier League. That's when you kind of start figuring out
So what?
who's gonna start fighting here, who's gonna stay fighting, or who's gonna kind of crumble down a little bit here and there.
For sure, for
Right.
sure. Before we get on to the next thing, what I was going to say about Manchester United is what they should have done early on in the summer transfer window was sell Pogba to either PSG or Juventus, more likely PSG, and then use that money to actually go bid for a Harry Kane who can solve their number nine issues. You know, and imagine him, you know, along with Sancho and Rashford or Greenwood or whoever you want to have up on that front three, along with Bruno Fernandes. That would be lethal, something that could challenge Man City. But you know, obviously they want to fight with Pogba, keep Pogba, even though Pogba doesn't want to stay in Manchester United.
I'm
But
like, it's because you have to look at the end of the day. They're not going to pay you what you paid for him, so that's going to be a loss whether you like it or not.
it's better than him going away for free. So
Hey yo, Samaria Campo says, how come you guys are not showing any love to Man United, man? I mean,
I
bro,
never show love to Devils.
yeah,
Well,
they're hating on
I'm like,
themselves, man. They're doing
it's
it to
gonna.
themselves.
I'm like, no, well, it's going to be interesting this year. I'm like, I think depending on how Vedon does, that could be really really helpful for them. So
Yeah,
But
definitely.
it's
think about it. I mean, think about it. This is what I'm talking about. When you have a team that can score by committee, that's great. Manchester United doesn't have that, and they don't have a number nine. I mean, Cavani is a great bandit to have, but Cavani is not the Cavani of PSG or when he was in Italy. He's getting
Right.
older, you know. And Anthony Martial has lost all confidence. All confidence. I don't know what happened to that kid.
Rashford.
Rashford. I mean, Rashford is going to be fighting with time for against Sancho if he's not, or he might go to the right side, which is not the side that he wants to play because he's the left-footed one. But I mean, but who knows? Just a lot of questions for Manchester United. That's why I'm not really high on what they do. Now, would I be surprised if they finish in the top four for Champions League? No. I mean, they have the talent to do it. They should do it. It should be something that should be easily achievable for them. But you know, again, I think Manchester United's biggest enemies are within themselves, and that's why they haven't been able to get to the levels of during their time with Alex Ferguson. But
Did they qualify to champions or no?
yeah,
yeah, they were second place.
they're second place.
Oh yeah, I remember now. Well, I mean, You never know, man. I mean, that's a lot of pressure there too. Champions takes a big toll on you too, and especially when you're a Man U that everybody's expecting you to qualify, go forward. I mean, I don't know. I think they got a lot against themselves. So hopefully they do something positive and shut our mouths up, and we'll see. We'll see what happens.
And obviously, these teams, all of them, have good foundation.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of good teams out there. So guys, if you're ready for any type of work, we're gonna pay the dues here. Rock Creek Ready Mix, they're ready for you guys. Any type of concrete work, whether it's a foundation, a patio, a pool, or you're working on a driveway or an extra walkway, or even a big project, a building, a parking lot, anything that you need, streets wise, whatever. Just call our friends from Rock Creek. Andy Sierra's waiting for you. 281-301-8313. Tell them La Banca Podcast sent you, and they will give you good specials. Also, if you got a family member who's looking for a job, any drivers, CDL drivers for 2-year experience, over 25 years of age, they have the need of, they're looking for drivers at this time. So if you got any family member that needs a job, just call Andy Sierra, 281-301-8313. They're called Rock Creek Ready Mix, and they have, well, here's the last thing. They have received a certificate on behalf of the area of Houston for one of the best, if not the best, concrete in the area. So that tells a lot that the quality is really good and that the service is really good. Timing, delivery, the job work, the finishers, whatever you need for your foundation, your patio work, a swimming pool, whatever, they have the workers, they have the suppliers, they have the delivery, they have the material, they have the concrete for you. So just call them up, Rock Creek Ready Mix. Tell them La Banca Podcast sent you, and they will give you a special. Again, it's Andy Sierra, 281-301-8313. Tell them we sent you guys for a good price. Let's go.
Yeah, guys, and obviously now we're going to the last topic of the night. It's great, but we're gonna talk one last little thing. Just recently, we got rumors of FIFA and UEFA thinking about implementing a salary cap for European leagues. Obviously, being in America, United States, we're very familiar with salary caps and the NBA, the NFL. The Major League Baseball has like a luxury tax type of deal, but there is some kind of cap up there. But then afterwards, you pass it, you pay taxes to the other teams, but something similar. So, guys, let's before we go, salary cap in European football. Obviously, we know that the economics in football have been riding steady, kind of on a limb, whether it's going to fall over or was people. There's been a lot of clubs that fallen bankrupt for operating their clubs on credit. There's a lot of clubs, obviously now the pandemic, that big name clubs have been hit really hard. A lot of people can put the blame to PSG paying Neymar's release clause of 222 million euros at the time. That really Pandora's box of all these $100 million+ euro transfer fees coming up. Bartomeu, the ex-president of Barcelona, has a lot to do with that as well. But salary cap and the what are your thoughts on it?
Sorry, did you say Aurelio or me?
You, Fidel.
Oh, I mean, I think they just messed up soccer, period, man. I mean, we're in for a good disaster coming up just because, I mean, come on, man. There's no way to compete. If you got the money, you got the best team in the world, and that's it. And it's pretty sad. I mean, how are you not going to respect contracts now? I mean, think about it. Look at Lukaku, right? Lukaku came to Chelsea because Chelsea forced it on Lukaku, right? Lukaku didn't know Chelsea wanted him, and all of a sudden Chelsea said, hey, here's a bid. Boom. Lukaku heard about it and said, hey, I want to go. Like, come on, bro. You got a contract, man. Like, you're pretty much stealing a great player from a team. And yeah, of course, the other team's going to benefit because they're going to take in a lot of money. But they were making plans with Lukaku. And now other players in Inter want to leave too because Lukaku's gone and they don't see the team the same way. And so there's a lot of things that there's a lot of damage that this kind of things do to teams. And of course, the Neymar thing was the beginning of it. And you heard it from a lot of people. You heard it from Mourinho. You heard it from Pep. You heard it from, great big coaches that said, hey, man, it's over. It's over. All these people from Qatar who got money and own all these teams, they can do this whenever they feel like it, and they're just going to take advantage of the whole system. It's true. FIFA needs to put regulations. UEFA needs to put regulations. And the only reason we said these two organizations, one, because FIFA controls soccer, and UEFA is where the money is. That's where players come to get paid. That's where the teams of money are at, right? And if they don't control this, it's gonna be over pretty soon. We're gonna see teams just way too strong, and the competition is just gonna suck. You want to be able to stay competitive and be able to compete against other teams, whether you're rich or poor, right? And I don't know, man. If you're one of those teams who's building players and you're selling them just to stay alive, good luck to you. But if you're one of those teams who's really at the bottom of the table, there's no hope for you. You're just gonna go bankrupt. And as we've seen it, a lot of these teams are going bankrupt because they can't stay competitive.
Already,
Well, I'm like, it's going back to Fidel's point of what Inter to Chelsea. I'm like, well, if you really want to look at it the full way. I'm like, they sold a player because Inter put themselves in that position.
I get it because they're in need of money, right? And I get
Yeah,
it. But
because they put themselves in there. I'm like, if they would have been careful with their financials, they didn't have to sell.
but
They could they
Neymar
could have
wasn't
just
in that position though. Neymar was not in that position. That was the
they
beginning of it.
that they chose to. I'm like they and at the end of the day, I'm like Barcelona could have said no, and they couldn't. They well,
No,
actually,
because
see, in Spain it is different because
once
in
you reach
Spain
the
is
clause, the
yes,
club has no say.
in Spain that is true. In Spain is different, but I'm
Yeah,
like at the end, I'm like sometimes I'm like you put yourself in situations where like you have no choice but to sell.
right.
Aurelia, let me ask you
So
this question, man. If a salary cap is implemented, who do you place in charge of implementing this?
well, I'm like it's
The
hard
the
because
the, the,
not every league makes the same amount.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, do you let the
So
league presidents?
that's where you would have to change it because at the end of the day, it's still not going to be fair.
Yeah,
Because at the end of the day, who brings in which league brings in the most money?
Right. You're
The
talking
Premier
about
League.
Premier. Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm like, you can look at any league. The only league that brings in a lot of money is going to be the Premier League. So they could implement a salary cap in the Premier League on what they bring in. At the end of the day, it's still not going to be fair to the rest of the leagues because they don't bring in as much. So their salary is going to be completely different. So I'm like, you still have kind of like the same advantage you do now.
yeah, and I think we're only thinking about the big five leagues, but we're forgetting leagues like Portugal
Oh no,
and
that's even worse.
Turkey, the Danish league, all those other leagues in Europe. They're going to be hard hitting more often too as well. Let me go to the chat real quick before we go. Hattie says salary caps stop overspending of clubs and it kneecaps agents. He also says UEFA answer to stop the need for a super league and stopping the need for more money. Which I mean, obviously, that's what salary caps do.
Right. I mean that's what really sets the tone, right? That's what really controls and makes teams actually do that. A lot of these leagues do have salary caps, but there's ways to get around and be able to work other things to get above and beyond the salary cap. Go ahead,
I'm like,
Mark.
if you look at it, I'm like if any league honestly has you can get away with with the salary cap. I'm like look at football. Um, Signing bonuses they don't count towards your cap.
Right, right,
So a lot of people say like, oh, Tom Brady always took pay cuts. I'm like, he took pay cuts on his salary, but at the end of the day, he was getting it back on a signing bonus.
right.
So I'm like, he really didn't take a pay cut. He just helped make the books balance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
He's still
like,
getting paid.
he's still getting paid. I'm like, it's like some of these. I'm like, all they're gonna do is do the same thing if they want to put a salary cap. I'm like, well, if you come with us, I'll give you a $15 million signing bonus.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's at the end of the day, it's the same thing. You're just moving the money a certain way.
True,
Right.
true. But it's interesting that the fact that UEFA and FIFA are starting to consider something like this. Now, what the end result will be is who knows. But yeah, man, it's interesting because obviously we're used to salary caps here in the sports in America, but the salary cap European soccer, I don't know how that's gonna work, man, because you're taking into consideration different leagues, different countries, and different status quos as far as money coming into those leagues. But guys, obviously we're at the end of the show. We want to appreciate everybody for staying up late with us. We are going to do something a little different for next week for our English audience, man. We understand that we've been keeping y'all up too late. So we're going to be flipping it back and forth from week to week. So next week, we will have the English show first, followed by the Spanish show, and
That's
vice
right.
versa the following week. So, we're trying to satisfy all our audience members, and not keeping y'all up too late. for too many Thursdays in a row. But with that being said, guys, obviously we have, like I said, I mentioned in the beginning of the show, we have a new Twitter page at @LaBanca_podcast. Please give us a follow if you haven't already. The YouTube, obviously, give us a like, a subscribe, and a thumbs up. And guys, if there's anything you want to add before we go, Fidel.
Yo, follow us on Twitter, Lavanca Podcast, Lavanca_podcast. We'll be able to answer a lot of questions for you there. If you got any ideas, hit us up. If you want to be part of the show, man, if you want to come out on the show and just be here for 10 minutes, 15 minutes and give your opinion as a fan, as a follower of Lavanca Podcast, we are willing to work this with you. You can actually do it from your phone.
Yeah, take my spot.
As long as there's no noise around in the area, that way we can hear you very well. But we would like to hear from you guys. We would like for you guys to be present. Sama, Haiti, thanks for being here with us. If you're going to be part of the Lavanca Podcast, you're more than welcome. We're not professionals. We do this for fun. We'll do this informal. And, it's just a hobby. It's just for fun. Here we go.
Aurelio?
No, just like pretty much Fidel said, follow us. I'm like, thanks for staying up late, or thanks for rewatching us the next morning, whichever it may be. I'm like Mark said, I'm like, we're gonna start switching it around, and we'll probably do a couple English ones first, and then a couple Spanish.
For sure, guys. But yeah, with that being said, thank you very much for the support, and we'll see you next Thursday, guys.